Thomas Pringle.
Thank you, Laskin Corda. Laskin Corda, I'd like to fully support the Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2015, and I would like to just pay tribute to Roseanne Brennan and her family for the campaign that they have led in relation to getting this legislation before the House and getting the government to accept this legislation. I think and nobody can compensate, I think, for the tragic loss of her son Jake in such a tragic way last year. But I think if his death can have some meaning, it would be in the passage of this legislation through the House, and maybe other families would be saved the heartache and the loss that they have suffered. And I think that's the tenet of this bill, and the hope that in getting this bill passed would do that. And while I know that implementing the speed limits may not necessarily in itself change attitudes and change behaviour, but it is a way in sending out a signal from this House and from our society as a whole that we need the culture to change, and we need behaviour of drivers to change, because I think that's the most important aspect of it. Is if we say that a 20 kilometres per hour is mandatory within housing estates, and it is the way that people are expected to drive, we can lead that cultural change and develop that cultural change. We've seen the success of it, which was mentioned by other speakers during the debate. We've seen the success of it in relation to the drink driving, seatbelt campaigns, where it's totally, almost socially unacceptable now to even consider drinking and driving, and that's what we need to achieve with this legislation as well. I would be a bit concerned, Minister. I note in your contribution last night you did say that you had prepared heads of a road traffic bill yourself that includes provision for providing for a 20 kilometre per hour speed limit. But I think it does need to be mandatory, and I think it should be possible to be able to find a way within the legislation to actually provide that it can target housing estates in residential areas, rather than, and I know the issue around the potential residential areas that would have through roads through them. But in my experience, and I think it's the same across the country, housing estates don't actually have road numbers and don't have a designation in terms of the Roads Act. So, I mean, a mandatory speed limit that applies to unnumbered roads or something like that would be achievable, I think, and would achieve the aims of this Act. So I'd urge you, Minister, to ensure that this Act goes through committee, and not to wait for your own bill to come through, but move this bill forward and have it enacted so that we can deliver for Jake and his family.